Hello, everyone. Thanks again for joining the webinar today. This webinar is called Get Your Game On, 6 Steps to School. And over the next 60 minutes or so, we're going to do just that. We're going to show you how to get your game on. In addition, we'll also talk a little bit about Action for Healthy Kids. We'll go in detail on Action for Healthy Kids' Game On program while highlighting each of the 6 steps that are part of the program. And ultimately, we hope that we can help you be successful and sustainable in your school wellness programming this year. We have 2 presenters for today's session. My name is Heidi Milby, and I am the Senior Manager of School Health Programs at Action for Healthy Kids. And I'm joined by my colleague, Hannah Ransland, who is Action for Healthy Kids' Indiana State Coordinator. Hannah works very closely with schools all throughout Indiana on their Game On programming, so I think she's going to be a great presenter on today's session. A couple of logistics before we get started. So once you're linked to the control panel, that's usually on the right-hand side of your screen. Of course, you can either call in via telephone or speakers to listen to the presentation, and everyone is muted to avoid that static and background interference. You'll see in that control panel, there's a dialog box. Go ahead and type in questions throughout the presentation as you have them, and we'll do our best to get them answered throughout the presentation and certainly at the end. Of course, if we can't get to your questions during the presentation, we will follow up with you via email after the webinar. The webinar is being recorded, so we'll send you the links to the recording as well as the presentation and related handouts 2 to 3 business days after the webinar. So let's go ahead and get started. So first, I want to quickly review the agenda. So again, as I mentioned, the main goal for today is to make sure that you leave familiar with Action for Healthy Kids' Game On program and that you feel comfortable being able to use it to enhance your school wellness initiatives. So we'll first spend just a couple of minutes talking about Action for Healthy Kids, and then we'll walk through each step of Game On. We'll provide you with the resources and ideas for each step, and then we'll end with some overall resources from Action for Healthy Kids that can help you be successful. So let's get started. First, a little bit of background about Action for Healthy Kids. So Action for Healthy Kids' vision is a world in which every kid is healthy, active, and ready to learn. And as an organization, we mobilize school professionals, families, communities to take actions that lead to healthy eating, physical activity, and ultimately healthier schools where kids thrive. Our network is made up of moms, dads, teachers, students, school and community leaders, school wellness experts, really anyone who has an interest in fighting childhood obesity at school. And we've banded together to create those healthier learning environments for our children. And ultimately, we believe that everyone has a part to play in ending the nation's childhood obesity epidemic, and we believe our programs, tools, and resources, just like the Game On program that we'll be talking about today, help make that possible. So we were founded in 2002 by former Surgeon General David Satcher, and today we have more than 110,000 members and constituents in our network all across the country. In addition, we also partner with dozens of professional associations, government agencies, corporations at the national, state, and local level. And in the end, our goal is to create those school communities where children know how to make those healthy choices from the minute that they walk in the door to the minute they leave at the end of the school day. So we're really talking about comprehensive school wellness initiatives taking place all throughout the school building. So I'm going to pause and just take a minute to talk about why schools. I'm sure many folks on the call are intimately familiar with this information, but I think it's important to talk about why we're focusing on schools. So the connection between schools and health. What is a school's mission? Schools are supposed to teach kids about reading and writing and arithmetic. But how do you convince skeptical members of your school community that health should be an essential part of that mission? A couple of things that we always like to point out is, one, schools reach most children and adolescents in the community, and they provide kids with opportunities to practice those healthy behaviors. Kids spend about 1,200 hours per year in school, which is a significant amount of their time. And we also know that teachers, administrators, school staff, those are all key role models. So are parent volunteers in the school. So it's a great place for adults in the school building to be role modeling activities, healthy activities for school or for students. And then finally, curriculum standards for health usually include nutrition and physical education. So shouldn't our policies and our practices and our climate reflect those standards rather than conflict with them? And then we know that schools show kids what we value and what's important in our community. And if we value health, that's something that we should certainly show kids as part of our practices in school. And we know that healthy kids learn better. For that reason alone, schools should be addressing this issue. We know that studies have shown that undernourished children tend to have low energy, they're often irritable, they have difficulty concentrating, they also score lower on vocabulary and reading comprehension and arithmetic tests. We all know how important testing is this day and age in schools, and this is something that we definitely should point out to those other folks in our school building to encourage them to support health at the school. And then with regard to physical activity, we know that activity affects and engages the brain. We take a look at these brain scans from Dr. Chuck Hillman at the University of Illinois. You can see that there's a lot more brain activity happening after a 20-minute walk versus 20 minutes of sitting quietly. So we can see visually that physical activity turns on the brain and makes it ready to learn. So now that we've talked a little bit about Action for Healthy Kids, we've talked a little bit about why we and why healthy kids are better learners, I want to start to dive into Game On, the reason that we're here in this webinar today. So the Game On program was developed to support schools, staff, students, and families in incorporating healthy food choices and physical activity into their daily lives and into the school environment, with the ultimate goal of getting schools nationally recognized as a health-promoting school. That was kind of a mouthful, so we're going to talk through exactly what that means throughout the webinar today. But based on our work with other schools that have used Game On, we found that schools can go from starting a brand new school health team to getting nationally recognized as that health-promoting school in about 3 years or less. It depends, of course, where a school is starting, but we found that 3 years is really that sweet spot for schools to get nationally recognized. However, it doesn't really matter where your school is with your school wellness initiatives to use Game On. Whether you're just starting a school health team or you've been implementing wellness initiatives for years, Game On can serve as that tool to help you, provide you with resources and ideas to continually improve your programming. It can also be used to complement other programs in your school that you might already have in place. So in other words, Game On is flexible and it's designed to be your one-stop shop for all things related to school wellness. So as we've mentioned earlier, Game On is a 6-step process to building a healthy school. So I'm going to very quickly go over each of the 6 steps, and then we'll dive deeper into each of these steps throughout the webinar. So the first 3 steps are listed on your screen. Step 1 is gather your team, and it's exactly that. It's focusing on gathering a team of individuals to be your school health team. So during this step, we encourage schools to identify volunteers from school staff to parents to community members to students to serve on the team. And Action for Healthy Kids in general recommends that you include at least 5 members on your team to make sure that you have that capacity in order to implement wellness initiatives. Step 2 focuses on assessing and tracking progress. So in other words, taking a moment to assess the health of your school. What are you doing well? What could use improvement? And the tool that we recommend as part of the Game On program is the School Health Index to identify those areas of needed improvement. Step 3 focuses on creating and implementing an action plan. Action for Healthy Kids knows that a clear action plan can serve as that roadmap for the school health team because it outlines priorities and goals. It can help schools stay focused on what needs to be done. So after completing the School Health Index as part of Game On has an auto-generated action plan that provides recommendations for how you can use Game On and its resources to improve upon areas of needed improvement. So again, we'll talk through this a little bit more later in the webinar so you can fully understand what this looks like. And here are steps 4, 5, and 6. So step 4, find activities. This is where the real meat of Game On is. This is where a lot of the content is. So within step 4, there's the Game On School Blueprint. And using this Game On School Blueprint, individuals can identify activities and resources that line up with your school's needs. So within the blueprint, you'll find more than 80 Eat Better and Move More Game On activity ideas that include resources and tips for implementing that particular activity at your school. And these activities can be used to support your funded physical activity and initiatives if you're receiving a grant from Action for Healthy Kids, or to just support anything that you're looking to do. Step 5 focuses on engaging families in the community. And within Step 5, we provide resources for you to partner with parents and volunteers and community organizations on your initiatives so that you can promote consistent messages within your school and within your community, ultimately ensuring sustainability. And then finally, Step 6, receive recognition. This is what I meant earlier when I said to get nationally recognized as a health-promoting school. Within step 6 of Game On, we provide resources to help you apply for that recognition through the Healthier U.S. School Challenge Smarter Lunchrooms Initiative or another Healthy School Certification Program. So again, we'll talk a little bit more about this later in the webinar. So as you can see here, the 6-step process is really intended to be a cycle that schools go through each year. So for example, at the beginning of each year, schools should focus their efforts on step 1, gather your team, regardless of whether or not you have a team in place. So either focus on building that new team if you need to, or expand upon membership from the previous year. And then when schools get to step 4, find activities, where I mentioned a lot of the content is and resources. This is really where the ideas and the tips and the resources that you can print off are housed. So these activities within Game On, the 80 Eat Better and Move More activities I mentioned earlier, are housed within the school blueprint, which you can see there on the screen. So it's organized by room within the school building. So it's easy to search for ideas. For example, if you're a teacher that's looking for more ideas to move more in your classroom, you can simply click on the classroom in the school blueprint, and you'll be directed to Game On activities that are focused on improving physical activity in the classroom. So as I mentioned earlier, Game On is flexible to meet your school's needs. On your screen, you can see several examples of how you can use Game On in your own school. So some of the ways that you can use it is, of course, when you're just starting a school wellness program. It's a great place to start to make sure that you're going through the necessary steps to build a sound program. Of course, to enhance the long-standing school wellness programs through some of the activity ideas and resources. Schools sometimes use it one time a week. Sometimes they use it multiple times a week, once a month. It's really flexible and totally up to you in terms of how often you want to go to Game On to access it. Game On activities are designed to support school wellness before, during, after school, as well as at home and for special events. So there really is something there for any time of day, whether it's at school or at home. So real quickly, I want to show you how to access Game On. So to access the Game On program, first open a web browser and you can navigate to actionforhealthykids.org. And once you arrive, click on the tab at the top of the site that says Tools for Schools. Once you get to Tools for Schools, you'll see on the right-hand side there's a list of Action for Healthy Kids programs and resources. The first one there is the Game On program. So if you click on that button, it will take you to the home page of Game On. And then this is where you really can feel free to explore. So you'll see on the right-hand side all of the steps of Game On that are listed, so you can go into each step as you need to. Within step 4, as I mentioned, that will take you to the school blueprint. So here, this is what the blueprint looks like when you get to step 4. So if you're just looking for activity ideas and you're not looking to navigate through each step, simply click on the room in the school blueprint for those instant resources. When you do that, you'll see a whole list of Eat Better activities and Move More activities. So this here on the screen is an example for the classroom. So if you click on the classroom, you'll see this whole list of Eat Better activities, Move More activities. Click on the one that sounds interesting to you, and that's where you'll see all of the ideas and the resources and the tips for that particular section. So I want to pause for a moment and hear a little bit about your experience. So my question for you, we're going to have a polling question that pops up on the screen. My question for you is, how long has school wellness programming been happening in your school? So in just a minute, the poll will open. Okay, so you should see it there. So has school wellness programming been happening for less than a year? You're just getting started. 1 to 2 years, 3 to 5 years, more than 5 years, or you're working with multiple schools, so it's difficult to answer the question. Looks like about half of you have voted. We'll keep it on there just a few more seconds longer. Great. Okay, so we'll go ahead and close that poll. So we can see here that most folks are working with multiple schools, so a variety of answers, but many of you, about a third of you, have been doing school wellness programming for less than a year, and then about a fifth of you have been doing it for 1 to 2 years. So that's great. Well, I hope that you find that Game On is relevant to you regardless of where you are starting, whether you're just getting started or you're doing it for a while. So at this point, I'm going to go ahead and pass it off to my colleague, Hannah. Hannah's going to talk with us a little bit about some details related to Step 1, Gather Your Team. Hannah?
Thank you, Heidi, and welcome, everyone. We're going to go ahead and get started and walk through Step 1 of Game On, which is Gather Your Team. This step outlines key steps to building your school health team, recruiting your health members, developing a vision, conducting meetings, all sorts of fun things that we're going to get looking at. For those of you who have active school teams, you know that the importance of working together to get things done is key. Parents, teachers, school leaders, and community members can make a lasting impact when we combine efforts. The key to providing children with consistent messages around health, nutrition, and physical activity is working together and having a plan. Dr. David Satcher, our founding chair, said there is no limit to what we can achieve when we combine with the right people. So that's very important to consider as you grow your school health team. So what is a school health team? In very general terms, a school health team exists to make schools healthier. Their work can include such things as identifying health concerns, leading various projects around health and wellness, raising funds to support those programs, obviously measuring the impact of the programs, and then communicating and celebrating those successes with their school and their community. Parents, teachers, administrators, and school staff, youth board members, and community members can all be a part of a school health team. So Step 1 really uses these strategies for building a strong team, not only how to build it, but using various tips for recruitment, hosting effective meetings, and developing a clear vision. We will walk through these in a little bit more detail in the following slides. However, I did just want to highlight something that we're not going to discuss in the next few slides, and it's a great resource, which is the Action for Healthy Kids Wellness Tool. It's intended to help anyone involved in developing, revising, implementing, and evaluating their wellness policies by providing guidance and how-to information about the wellness policy process. So we all know that putting it on paper is not enough to really improve student nutrition and physical activity. So when you follow this cycle of policy development that's shown in the tool, school districts can improve student nutrition and physical activity and promote a healthy school environment in the long-term process. It's a 7-step process, and we will also include information on the latest changes that have been released from the USDA as part of the 2010 Healthy Hunger-Free Kids Act. So I encourage you all to check it out online. So back to Step 1, gathering your team. Whether you're just getting started or you've been active for a while, you need to have your elevator pitch ready. Why do you want to start a wellness team, or why are you asking people to join you? If you're just getting started, you want to identify other champions to help you lead the committee. PE teachers, school nurses, passionate parents. There's plenty of people within your school building that can help get it going. If there's already another group working on health-related activities, maybe a school garden or a walk-to-school initiative, see if they'd like to join in with you. Wellness initiatives will have so much more power and momentum if they're promoted together under one umbrella. Make sure you get the principal's approval and buy-in at the highest level possible so they can commit to both you and to help you form your committee and support your projects. At a minimum, the principal needs to be aware of and give their approval for what you're doing. If you can get public support, that's even better. The most ideal situation is that your principal becomes an active participant on your school health team. So take whatever you can get and move forward with it. Next, you want to make sure that you invite teachers and school staff, parents, and community members to join your team. You could speak at a staff or PTA meeting, ask the principal and staff to recommend potential members, and make sure you use your school's regular communication channels, as we know that's where the people are at, so go to them. Some people might be shy about getting involved due to cultural differences or other reasons. So give these people personal, verbal invitations to get involved. People like it when you invite them personally to do something, then ask them if they will invite others. Make sure you include key players and influencers at the schools. For instance, potentially a PTA or PTO leader, someone from the accountability team. And make sure to invite student input and participation. Be clear about their roles and expectations. They may not want to come to standing meetings, but they may want to take a role in another way. And as a member of a student focus group or promoting the message through student channels, we know that once you get student buy-in, that can really make some great changes and waves in your wellness initiative. So here are some tips for conducting a successful meeting. Obviously, planning regular meetings at times that are most convenient for everyone. If it's possible to offer childcare, that would be one key piece that might prohibit someone from coming. And then snacks or meals. Make sure that you create a welcoming environment at every meeting. Little things like greeting a person, smiling, making eye contact really go a long way. And then also provide name tags so that in case you are doing it and involving other schools, everyone knows everyone's name and they know how to address the person. Make sure you offer opportunities for conversation and interaction. I think really health team members will feel so much more invested if they're developing relationships with others and really being able to provide that feedback to the committee. Make sure you're having a focused agenda. Sending it out in advance and following it will really be helpful for everybody, including a start and end time for your meeting. And then make sure you do start and end on time if at all possible. If people feel like they're at a meeting and they're wasting time, they probably won't continue coming. And then accomplish as much as you can with emails or phone calls, but note that some people, just need various ways to communicate. So figure out what that most widely used method is, and then choose what's best for those people on your team. And then if you are tackling a big project or just a big initiative, consider forming subcommittees that can help you work on various projects to get things done. And that'll help break up so much work and to make it seem a little bit more easier to accomplish. So I'm going to turn it back over to Heidi. She's going to walk you through the next couple steps of Game On.
Great. Thanks, Anna. So we're going to move on to step 2, assess and track progress. So before we start talking about it, I want to just hone in on the why. So why do a wellness assessment? Although, trust me, I know it can be tempting to jump right in, start a project, just get going. There are a number of good reasons to start with an assessment first. A couple of them are listed on your screen. So first, develop relationships with key staff. This is something that an assessment does. Hopefully you've already been doing this, but the assessment provides another reason to communicate and work together. So for example, if you're working with your school nutrition staff, being able to go to them and ask them questions about what's happening in the school cafeteria is a great way to start to build that relationship as well as get the information for the assessment. Second, it also helps you determine your school's strengths and weaknesses, so you can really hone in on those weaknesses and figure out how to improve. Third, it helps you define goals that really suit your school's needs. And hopefully at some point, these goals can become ingrained into your school in something like a school improvement plan or in some other accountability measure. It becomes a goal that's more than just a goal for a yearly action plan, but also a goal that's really part of your school's culture. It also helps you justify your decision to make changes. So if you need to advocate to an administrator that you want to make a change with nutrition education, for example, you can show using your assessment tool that nutrition education is low at school and needs to be improved. And finally, it helps you document starting points in order to show progress over time. This is really important down the road because it can show others that you as a school health team are doing great work. And it's always useful for grants that you might want to apply for to be able to show that you did these assessments, you improved, and you'll be able to use the funds wisely. Keep in mind that your team should conduct a wellness assessment, ideally the same one, annually so that you can measure your progress over time. So this gets back to what we mentioned earlier about Game On being that cyclical process. Step 2, assess and track progress, should be completed each year to make sure that you're focusing on the highest priority actions every year. So as I mentioned earlier, Action for Healthy Kids recommends that you use the School Health Index as your assessment tool. This is the assessment tool that's featured within Game On, and Action for Healthy Kids has built an entire technology focused on the School Health Index. So we're going to talk through what that looks like today. So there are 8 modules in the School Health Index, as you can see here on your screen, around a variety of topics in health and wellness. each module has a number of questions that assess how well your school is implementing that particular module. So Action for Healthy Kids' version of the School Health Index is a little bit different than the original version that comes from the CDC, the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. Action for Healthy Kids' version is only specific questions from the 8 modules that relate to physical activity and healthy eating. So it's shorter. It's a great tool if you're looking for an assessment to do, but you don't want to do the full assessment, or if you want to focus in just on physical activity and nutrition. The Action for Healthy Kids School Health Index that's available in Game On is free for any school that wishes to use it. And what's great about it is it provides reports that you can use to show your school wellness team, that you can show your administrators, so that they can get a sense visually in graph form, but also just get a sense of how well you're doing as a school around school health. So we talked about the why. We've talked a little bit about the School Health Index. I want to briefly highlight some of the content you'll find within Step 2 of Game On. So if you travel to Step 2 of Game On and the Game On website, you'll discover that Step 2 outlines why it's helpful to complete an assessment. So we talked very briefly about that earlier, but these are great talking points for you to advocate, again, to your administrators or to other school health team members that might not be on board with doing an assessment. It also links to Action for Healthy Kids' online school portal, which is where you can actually complete the Action for Healthy Kids' School Health Index. And it also provides a step-by-step guide for completing the School Health Index. So it's a tool that sometimes can get a little complicated. So Action for Healthy Kids has developed a step-by-step guide that's really useful, has a lot of screenshots, and can help you successfully navigate through the tool. So this here, as you can see, is the home page of Step 2. And if you click on the button that says AFHK School Health Index, that's what's going to take you to the Action for Healthy Kids School Portal. So again, once you get into the school portal, this is where you access the School Health Index, as well as a number of other things like Action for Healthy Kids' grant programs, applications. If you're already receiving funding from Action for Healthy Kids, it's the same place that you submit your reports, that sort of thing. So once you log into the school portal, this is the screen that you see. This is the home page. On the left-hand side, right where that red circle is, it says School Health Index. If you click on School Health Index, that's going to take you to the main home page for the School Health Index. I find that it's easiest to be on the home page, navigate to the School Health Index using this button so that you can get started with the School Health Index. So from there, it will show all the modules. You can go into each module, complete the related questions. It's pretty self-explanatory at that point. But something I did want to feature here in the webinar today is show you what some of the reports look like, so you can get a sense of kind of the functionality of this assessment tool. So this is an example of a report for one module. So as I mentioned, there are 8 modules. You'll get a report for each module. And as you can see here, the graph on top shows how this particular school scored on each question within the module. So you can see that the 3 here is the highest score you can get. There's a couple of questions that had the full score, but then there's a number of questions that had a score of 0. So perhaps those are areas that this particular school wants to focus in on for improving during this current school year. You'll also see at the bottom of the report there are resources that link out to help you improve. And then there's this, at the very bottom, it says action plan. I'm going to hold on that. We're going to talk about that in just a moment. But you can see here, this is what one report for a module looks like. And then if you complete every module, you'll get a comprehensive report that shows you your scores on every module. So here you can see there's a score for each module of the School Health Index. So you can see that Module 3, this particular school is doing really well on Module 3, but Module 6, not so much. So this, again, can help you figure out which module you might want to focus on. Is there a particular area? Is it physical education, or is it health education, or is it family engagement where you want to focus your efforts? You can also see on this report, it compares your school to the maximum score in that light blue line. And then it also has a line that compares you to the state. So other schools in your state that have completed the School Health Index, it shows you where you line up. And same within your district. So it's a really nice tool also to compare schools within your district and within your state to see how well you're doing compared to others. So that's a little orientation on the School Health Index. We do have a webinar coming up in a couple of weeks that focuses very intently on the School Health Index and how you can complete it online. So if you're interested in learning more, I encourage you to attend that. But first, I do want to pause for a moment. I want to do another poll question. So this question will come up on your screen. And the question is, has your school ever completed the School Health Index? So yes, we completed the School Health Index this year, so this school year. Yes, but we haven't submitted it yet this year, so you've done it in the past. No, we've never completed it, or I'm not sure. We'll keep the poll open for a few more seconds. About half of you have voted. Okay, we'll go ahead and close it out. So it looks like more than half of you aren't sure. This can be tough. It's tough to know who in your school might have completed it. What's great at the Action for Healthy Kids School Health Index is online as a wellness team. You can collaborate on the School Health Index, so all of your wellness team members can be part of the portal, can contribute answers to questions, so you'll have a really good sense of who's been involved in answering questions. And then it looks like a quarter of you have never completed it before, and then about 15%, yes, you've completed it for the school year, so that's wonderful. Well, again, I encourage you as a next step, check out the online version of the School Health Index, see if it's something that meets your needs as an assessment tool for the school year. Okay, so I want to go ahead and move on to step 3, create and implement an action plan. So first, the why. Why create an action plan? So again, this is something like this, the assessment. Sometimes it just takes so much time to sit down and write an action plan and do that assessment, but we really encourage you to take the time so that you have a clear roadmap ahead of you. Just like with the School Health Index or completing that assessment, team camaraderie. It's a great way to really collaborate. Talk to folks that maybe you don't interact with regularly, school nutrition staff or your physical education teacher or parents, to make sure that everyone has input on the plan. It's also a great opportunity for group brainstorming to really get creative. You know, think outside the box. What can you do this year? How big can you make field day or your annual health fair? It's also a great way to have clear communication. By including the action items and the activities on your plan, it'll be very clear on what your school is going to focus on that school year, and that way you can really stick to it and make sure that it gets done. In addition, on an action plan, you can assign who's responsible to each particular activity. So again, it's really clear who's doing what, when, and what the priorities are. And then finally, it's a timeline. It can help you kind of stay on track when things get crazy hectic during the school year and we have other priorities that pop up. It's a way to kind of keep you focused and make sure that you're completing things as you want to be completing them throughout the school year. So how can Game On Step 3 help? So if you were, again, to travel to Game On Step 3, you'll find a number of resources. One, you'll find those reasons for why it's helpful to complete an action plan. Again, to advocate with your school health team and with administrators for why it's important to do so. It also provides steps for how you can customize your online action plan and Action for Healthy Kids' School portal. So I'm going to show you what this looks like in just a moment, but customize the plan, and so it provides very clear steps, just like with the School Health Index, on how you can do that. And then it also links to a list of national health observances that can help you plan initiatives. So as you're thinking about what your school wants to do this year, does it make sense to do something around Fruit and Vegetable Month or Walk to School Day? So it outlines all of those national health observances, so you can kind of keep in mind what's happening when, and do you want to do an event or an activity around those national health observances. So I want to take a second, go back to our online school portal and show you what the online action plan looks like. So if you were to go to the school portal, as I just mentioned, I just showed you how to complete the School Health Index. So say you've completed the School Health Index. What you'll see on your home page, if you scroll down, is you'll see exactly this screenshot on your screen where it says school, it has your school name, and then it says View Report, which is where you view the report for your School Health Index, and then it has this button, View Action Plan. So if you click on the View Action Plan button, you'll see this. It's very simple. It's an online action plan. It will have any activity listed there. It'll have an end date, the owner, so the person responsible, the measure of success. So how are you going to know that you were successful? And then it has this button over here that says Add Pending Actions. So what happens is when you complete the School Health Index, any area where there's an opportunity to improve, what we do is we suggest action items to be included in your action plan. And that's what these pending actions are. So these are some examples from an example school. based on the School Health Index, we recommended these 7 actions that we think should be included on the plan. So if you agree that, yes, we can focus on these, I do want to institute a school-wide healthy fundraising policy, for example, you can simply click on it, and then it will be added to your action plan. So this is what an action plan looks like that's been partially filled out. You can see the activities are listed here. There is an end date for a couple of them. If you click on the Edit button, you can go in and you can add additional details, like when do you want to start it, are volunteers necessary for this activity, what additional resources might be needed to be successful. So it's super customizable. As I mentioned, there will be these pending actions that we suggest, but you can also add your own actions. So in this particular example, the first one there is host annual health fair. That's an action that this school said, we do a health fair every year and we want to make sure that's on our action plan. So they went ahead and they clicked on this button, Add Custom Action, and they added it there themselves. So now they have so far 3 activities listed. One is their own custom action, and the other 2 come from their School Health Index results. So something that we encourage schools to do as they're using the action plan is log in, once a month or so, every time you have a school health team meeting, and check off those actions that have been completed, add additional actions as needed, make sure that it's a real-time document for you to use. So at this time, now that we've covered steps 1, 2, and 3, I want to pause for just a minute, and I want to ask my colleague Jocelyn if there are any questions that have come in. Jocelyn?
No, not at this time. Just as a quick reminder that if you guys do have any questions, to use the little box on the right-hand side of your screens and pop those in there so we can start answering your questions right away.
Okay, great. Well, thanks, Jocelyn. I'm going to go ahead at this time and pass it off to Hannah, who's going to talk a little bit about step 4, find activities. Hannah?
All right, let's discuss step 4, finding activities, everyone's favorite portion of Game On. We are going to spend the next few minutes discussing some strategies and ideas that your school can use to implement or build or enhance your school wellness program. So keep in mind that each of these activities that we discussed today should be added into your action plan, and that'll be your team's guide to help you stay focused and keep your ideas organized, as Heidi mentioned previously. So, as Heidi also mentioned earlier, Game On is organized into this school blueprint, which is exactly what you see on your screen, is exactly what you'll see on the website. And it showcases various rooms of the school building so you can search for activities based on where you are and where you want to make healthier. So examples you might find include taste tests, breakfast in the classroom, healthy fundraising, healthy school store, school garden, recess at home, or a playground circuit challenge. So we're first going to start and discuss why host and eat better and move more activities. So a healthy culture, a school culture, supports classroom lessons. Food policies and practices that are reflected in our curriculum standards for health and nutrition rather than conflict with them are going to be a positive impact on your school. Plus, being physically active throughout the day helps students focus during school lessons. A healthy school food culture and regular physical activity will encourage consumption of nutrient-rich foods and contributes to good health. Students are less likely to suffer from conditions such as obesity, diabetes, hypertension, and cavities, and some of those other things that Heidi mentioned in the learning connection earlier in the presentation. Providing opportunities to eat better and move more publicly demonstrate a school's commitment to promoting healthy behaviors among its students, families, and staff. So sending that message that health is a top priority is something that is a highlight for your wellness efforts. A culture of eating better and moving more creates excitement around nutrition and physical activity. When nutritious foods are presented in a fun and engaging way, students are eager to get involved. So same goes with physical activity. So we're going to move on and talk about Game On activities and how they're structured. So typically you're going to see them structured with an overview at the top portion. There's going to be the Take Action, which tells you exactly how to implement the activity and why it's important. And it'll help you with the necessary steps to get the program started. For example, if you're looking at nutrition education activity, it'll suggest various ways that you can implement nutrition education throughout your school building. If you're reviewing something such as breakfast in the classroom, it'll walk you through each step you should take to implement a successful program. The tips section provides an assortment of things to help you, keep you on track and to help remember how to make your activity successful. The Engage Volunteer section reinforces that volunteers, such as parents, college students, and community members, are key to a successful initiative. They also bring energy and capacity and new ideas to school wellness program. So each Game On activity includes those specific ideas on how volunteers can support your particular initiative. And finally, last but certainly not least, is the additional resources section. And this will link you to evidence-based resources that can help you support your activity. So these resources may include tip sheets, templates that could be modified to meet your school's needs, like a fitness tracking log or a parent letter, or links to other resources that help you implement the activity. So what you're going to see on your screen now are various Eat Better activity examples, and these will help make your healthy option standards whenever foods are shared. So you're going to see various activities on here, morning Eat Better announcements that you can implement, healthy fundraising, a health and wellness fair, grab and go, breakfast in the classroom, hosting a taste test. There's a lot of great Eat Better activities that you can check out on Game On. The next slide highlights Move More activity examples. So you'll see examples include songs and stories with movement, open gym, bike racks, walking school bus, outdoor active recess, get your groove on. So if any of those things excite you, I encourage you to get online and to check them out. So the next step to Game On is step 5, engaging families and communities. So we're going to spend the next few minutes discussing how to engage your volunteers. So regardless of the actual tasks that they do, all volunteers have at least one thing in common. The time, energy, and resources they bring can be critically important for a successful outcome in your school. Volunteers bring a lot to the table, which you all know. Some advantages of engaging these volunteers include having specialized knowledge or skills that can be useful to complement or enhance your efforts. They can provide new and different perspectives, bringing that fresh energy to your wellness initiative. They can obviously provide a lasting impact and contribution. The more people that get involved, the easier it becomes to gain that additional support you need for your work. And finally, volunteers can help save money to do a lot of good work for little to no cost. Because of the enormous amount of help that's potentially available from volunteers, an important question to ask is how can we best tap into this resource? So volunteers typically have a motivation for getting involved. So keep these motivations in mind when you're actually asking them to be a part of your team. They volunteer because it meets personal needs. They want to share an expert skills or knowledge that may be able to gain additional professional experience. Some people volunteer because of a friendship or social aspect, because they have the time and the availability to do so. So when one person is involved, ask them to bring along a friend next time to get more people involved. And the last motivation is the strongest level of commitment. People volunteer because they have a passion for the cause or the organization or, for instance, school wellness initiatives and the work that's being done. So it's important to keep all these factors in mind when you're looking to involve or strengthen volunteer engagement. So let's shift focus a little bit. We're going to talk a little bit more about that parent and family engagement process. So I'm sure everyone on the call feels like they have a lot of extra time on their hands, right? So obviously you know how challenging that can be, and that clearly is a barrier for any volunteers, but especially for those of us who are caregivers. So to maximize this engagement with parents and families, schools should offer a variety of commitment opportunities like those on the slide. So parents, siblings, and caregivers can support school health and wellness in many ways at many levels. Let parents know exactly what's expected of them in terms of their time and their required activities. they'll be more likely to volunteer. So the more specific you can be with the logistics will ensure that they'll have a good experience and will continue to keep volunteering with you. Sometimes simple incentives also play a part and help remove some of those barriers and help keep them motivated. So providing childcare, transportation passes, healthy refreshments, door prizes. You could maybe even pay their way into an event they're working if there's a cost, or provide a fun volunteer t-shirt that shows off your school to help keep them motivated. So step 5 really uses these strategies for engaging families with the Parents for Healthy Kids tools and resources. And we do this by starting with the Parent Leadership Series. The Parent Leadership Series is an educational series that covers how school systems work, project planning, wellness policies, and the most effective ways to advocate for change, along with project ideas for creating a healthier school food and physical activity culture. So there are presentations and webinars that you can view that includes a free resource called the Parent Toolkit. It's also available in English and Spanish, so I encourage you again to check it out on our website in Step 5. Another portion of Step 5 is specifically dedicated to engaging your local school community. There's information on involving community organizations as well as how to recruit volunteers from the community. And schools hosting events can access the Action for Healthy Kids event and volunteer management tool within the school portal, which is another great tool and resource you can use to help engage those people in your community. And last but not least are resources to host an Every Kid Healthy event. The Every Kid Healthy Week is our national annual celebration for schools' wellness achievements. The goal of Every Kid Healthy Week is to create a national-wide movement around school wellness. It takes place the last week of April each year, and it's a great way to build awareness around the need for healthy schools. Last year, we were able to engage over 1,000 schools who hosted an Every Kid Healthy Week event around the nation. We're super proud about that. We want to keep that momentum going. So if you're interested in hosting an event with us in April, why not register and help be a part of that movement to show your commitment to wellness. Last but certainly not least, we are going to discuss Step 6 of Game On. And this is where we receive recognition, and Heidi kind of briefly mentioned it earlier. So we're going to get going because there's a lot of content in this portion. But we discuss and support the Healthier U.S. Schools Challenge, and I'm going to call it HUSSC for short. So what is this initiative? So the Healthier U.S. Schools Challenge and Smarter Lunchroom, again commonly known as HUSSC, is a voluntary initiative that was established around 2004 to recognize schools and the National School Lunch and Breakfast programs that have created healthier school environments through the promotion of nutrition and physical activity. So HUSSC emphasizes developing lifelong healthy habits. It is a certification process, and it will last 4 years. So those schools that receive HUSSC are committed to meeting criteria throughout that 4-year certification period. And again, the criteria is consistent with National School Lunch Program and Breakfast Program initiative. So schools that first have to meet meal pattern requirements. Secondly, they have to implement smarter lunchroom techniques. And third, they really have to go above and beyond federal requirements for smart snacks and their local wellness policy. So these are more closely discussed in other mini webinars that I'll mention in a second. But of those award criteria, there are 4 levels of recognition that a school can apply for: bronze, silver, gold, and gold award of distinction. So we're going to take a look at those in the next few slides. So before we discuss a bit more about the award, we want to talk to you about the benefits of becoming recognized. Why should you apply? And there are so many benefits, but the first benefit is a monetary incentive. So awarded schools receive funding. Schools that are awarded the bronze get $500. The silver schools receive $1,000. Gold schools receive $1,500, and schools that are awarded the gold award of distinction receive $2,000. So that is a great benefit as well. Another benefit is that it obviously is going to build school spirit and create that positive publicity. HUSSC is a great way to demonstrate to the community the changes your school has made to become a healthier place for kids, as well as the positive impact your school is having on health and well-being of students and their families. So it's an awesome way to celebrate your school's success in improving these opportunities before, during, and after the school day. By receiving this positive national recognition and building your school spirit, HUSSC can increase support for the momentum around school wellness initiatives. So it's just a great way to garner that additional support for your great work. HUSSC supports the learning connection. So we know that there's a connection between healthy eating, physical activity, and academic achievement. So research shows that healthy kids are better learners, and schools that offer students healthy food and more time to be active are seeing an increase in fitness levels, better student behavior, higher test scores, and even graduation rates. And kids who don't eat nutritiously and enjoy that regular physical activity are definitely at an academic disadvantage. And HUSSC supports the educational outcomes as it helps to ensure that students are healthy and ready to learn. So taking the challenge is a way for your school to be a leader in your efforts to end childhood obesity. And we really think that providing this healthy environment early on is how kids are going to help develop habits that are necessary to lead a long and healthy life. We will provide a link to all this follow-up material in the follow-up email that you're going to get following this webinar. But our website does provide additional resources for the HUSSC award and application process. So I really highly recommend you to check it out in step 6. Some examples of what we provide are some application tip sheets, some mini webinars, some checklist sheets. We've recently had these developed and approved by the USDA with their support, and we've heard from a lot of schools that they're very valuable tools when they're going through that application process. So I really encourage you to check it out because I think it'll be very valuable and will help you with your application process. I also want to mention that we actually are providing a webinar for the Healthier U.S. Schools Challenge. That'll take place on Thursday, November 3rd. And we, again, will send you that link in the follow-up email, but we'll be guest presenting with the USDA. And they'll provide an overview on the application components and give you some tips for applying in that webinar. So again, look for that registration link in your follow-up emails. I also want to encourage you to follow up with your state coordinator. Heidi's going to mention where you can find that information in the next couple slides, but we are here as a resource. So I highly encourage you in your state to connect with that person. I know all my colleagues are a great resource, so I encourage you to do that. So I'm going to turn it back over to Heidi, and she's going to finish us out.
Awesome. Thanks, Hannah. So we're going to do one more poll before we wrap up today. And this is related to what Hannah just talked about the Healthier U.S. School Challenge, or just in general certification. So this poll is going to go ahead and come up for you in just a minute. The question is your school nationally certified? So is your school already recognized? It's going to come up in just a second here. Okay, so first, yes, we are currently certified either through the Healthier U.S. School Challenge, or there's another program called the Alliance for Healthier Generations Healthy Schools program. It's another national recognition program. No, we're certified before, but our certification has expired. No, but we are interested in becoming certified this year. No, but we are interested in learning more, or you're not interested in becoming certified at this time. We'll give it just a few more seconds to get your responses in. Okay, great. We're going to go ahead and close out that poll. So 3/4 of you reported that no, but you're interested in learning more. So great. I encourage you to check out step 6. As Hannah just mentioned, reach out to your state coordinator. I'm going to show you how to do that in just a moment. And we're happy to support you and get you certified this year. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and wrap up with just a couple more slides. I want to share a couple more resources from Action for Healthy Kids, so you feel like you have enough to get going for this school year. So one, as I mentioned, and Hannah mentioned too, our state coordinators. Here's a link on your screen to find the state coordinator list and their contact information. We will share this in the follow-up email. We don't have a state coordinator in every state, but definitely let us know. There's a link that you should click on if your state is not listed, and we'll make sure you get connected with someone on staff to support you. In addition, we have monthly webinars. We usually have 2 to 5 webinars per month on various school wellness topics. So I encourage you to check them out and register for other webinars that are coming up later this fall and spring that are of interest to you. As I mentioned earlier, one of those webinars does focus on our school portal. So if you're interested in really learning about that technology and how you can use it for your assessment and for your action plan, I encourage you to check that out as well. And then finally, School Grants for Healthy Kids. So each year we provide funding to about 1,500 schools across the country to help you meet your nutrition and physical activity goals. So our grants will open up again in February 2017. So check back then for grant opportunities, and we're happy to support you in that way as well. We're very active on all social media, so stay up to date with our success stories and health tips and games, recipes, etc. on our various social media channels. Again, we'll share those in the follow-up email as well. And then I want to just pause really quickly before we wrap up, Jocelyn, to see if there are any other questions that have come in since we paused halfway through.
No, a few questions that were more geared specifically towards the school, but nothing general about Game On, so we're in good shape.
Okay, great. I think we hopefully did a good job of explaining things today. Again, I hope you all check out Game On. Reach out to us if you have questions or need additional support. That concludes our webinar today. We'll send that follow-up email in 2 to 3 business days that has the link to the recording and the slides. It also includes a registration link for the next several webinars that we have coming up, so you can check those out if they're of interest to you as well. Thanks again, everyone, and have a great day.